Alrighty, 7th graders, I have a story before we start the video today. When I was in 8th grade, I was on the baseball team and I played center field. And, I kind of spaced out a little bit, as middle schoolers do quite frequently. And the ball got hit to center field and I didn't notice it right away. So it was flying up in the air and all of a sudden I look up and I see the ball. And it goes into the sun and I lose sight of it. And then all of a sudden it comes out of the sun and I catch it again and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger as it's coming to the ground. And I think to myself, why is the baseball getting bigger? And then it hit me. Hoping someone laughed. Okay, we're going to work on area and perimeter of two different shapes here. We're going to work on the area of squares and rectangles, which I consider one shape, and then parallelograms as well. Tomorrow will be triangles and trapezoids. So when we're working on area and perimeter, we got to know what they are. Perimeter first is the outside, where area is always going to be the inside. Whoops. What am I writing here? It's going to be the inside. Okay? The formulas are perimeter equals just adding everything up. Okay? But the area actually has a formula. I'm always going to say it's going to be base times the height. Okay? Some of you have learned it as length times width. I don't like length and width, I like base and height. So the area is always going to be base times height. So let's look at some examples. If we're trying to find the perimeter of each of these shapes, we have to know a couple things about them. First of all, okay, the area for the outside here is going to be 4, and the bottom is going to be 2. Now the perimeter, we just add up all the pieces. 4 plus 4 plus 2 plus 2 is going to be 12, and we have to label it as feet. If we move to a parallelogram here, we know that if that's 4, this has to be 4, and if that's 8, this has to be 8, and then we just add them up. 8 plus 8 is 16, plus 4 is 20, plus 4 more is 24. Our label is going to be meters. Down here on the bottom, same thing. If that's 5, that has to be 5. If that's 1, that has to be 1. We add them all up. 10, 11, 12, and our label is inches. And finally, on the last one, we look to add them all up, but there's a problem. This measure here is the height of the parallelogram, not the outside. So all of a sudden, we can't find this one. Okay? So I want you to try to find the perimeter of each of these. Okay, so I'm hoping you tried to find the perimeter. Currently, North Carolina is beating Creighton by 16. So that's the score that I was just checking here. This has to be 6, 4, 12. So this is 20 centimeters. That's 5, 8 and 8, 16, 21, 26 centimeters. 20 and 12. Now here's a tricky one, 40, 52, 64. There's no label on it. So if you had to label it, you would label it as units, whatever those units were. And then on the last one here is not possible. Can't find the last one. Okay? So, moving on to area, which is base times height. So, for each of these, we have to identify what the base is. Here, the base is going to be 2 because that's 2. And the height's going to be 4. So we simply are going to multiply 2 feet times 4 feet to get an answer of 8 feet. And now here's the important part, squared. Area is always squared because we're multiplying two things together. Now here, because we're not given the height, we're given the side length. The height is right here. We can't find. This one down here is 1 times 5, which will be 5 inches squared. And then now we can find it. But the whole bottom is going to be 7. The height is 10. Base times height is 70 units squared. Alrighty. So try to find these. So I'm hoping you gave these a shot. Let's see how we did. 5 times 5 is going to be 25 meters squared. 3 times 6 is 18 units squared. 1 times 8 will be 8 feet squared. And this one, we're not given the height, so we can't find. All right, so let's move on. Area of what we call irregular shapes. So we're given this shape here, and there is no formula that's going to help us, but I know that if I start drawing in lines here, a line there and a line there, I now have a rectangle, and a rectangle. And so for the area of irregular shapes, I'm going to add up all the areas. All right, so we got to find out what areas are. Well, we know that this is 8 and this is 3, so we can find this middle one, but we don't know this height. Well, I know that this is 3 and this is 4, so this over here has to be 4. And then here's a little bit of a problem. This whole thing's 8. This is 2.5, that's 1, and that's 4. So that's 5, that's 7.5. This little piece right there has to be 0.5. Okay, so now we can add them up. This is base 0.5, height of 4. The area here is 2. Here the base is 2.5, the height is 4, so the area is 10. And here is going to be 8 times 3, which is 24. So the area of the whole shape is going to be 24 plus 10 plus 2, which is 36 square units. So we add up all the individual bases. We just got to break it up into shapes that we can understand. All right? So I want you to try this one. All right, let's see how we did here. So if I'm going to break this bad boy up, I could do it there and there. Now, you could have split it up any way you wanted. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay? But I know that if this whole thing is 6 and this is 3, that makes this 3. And I know that 3 here, so this is 3. So we got 3, 5, 7.5. So that means this has to be 2.5 right here. So this little box here is going to be 9. This piece here is 6. This bottom is 7. So this whole thing here is 42. And this bottom one, height, did we find the height yet? Nope. Did I make it so you can't find the height on this one? It's 3, that's 6. I did make it so you can't find the height. All right, well, here is going to be x, and you'd have to make an estimation. So I would say that this piece looks like it's 6. I'd say this piece is about 4 here. So let's say it's 4. So make this 10. So it'd have to be about 61 units squared, and that's going to be about. Now, I messed up because I didn't give you this, but if you're finding a question like that on a quiz or test, make sure you ask me. All right, I think that's it, actually. Tomorrow we have a worksheet we're going to be doing in class, and your code word for tomorrow is peer. Peer. Have a great night.